Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NLC. We made it to our third game of the day, third game of the series between Singularity and Nordavind. We're going to jump into picks and bans very, very shortly. But Orcs, both teams have shown good drafts and bad drafts. Are we going to see two good drafts or maybe two bad drafts?
Maybe, I guess the thing with drafts is always relative, right? So maybe they both just have a relatively even draft. That's the hope. That's the dream. We have an even draft and it comes down to play. I believe we're going to have Singularity on the red side again, so that gives them a bit of an advantage in this situation. We have kind of seen that be a consistent thing.
I love that draft is relative because I think the draft from game one with Nordavind wasn't objectively a bad draft. It just wasn't good into what Singularity drafted, and I think that's where it comes into, and that's where the mind games come through with the draft. Leon and Thresh are being permabanned this series. I think all of these champions have been permabanned this series, if I'm not mistaken. Ziggs obviously went through in game one, but Nordavind do not want to play against that one again. And now you don't have the luxury of the last pick if you're playing blue, but you do get the first pick. And I think, honestly, there it is. Like Gwen, very strong champion. Kerberos did very well with this as well last game. Not surprised to see that one locked in.
The thing is, I think with the Gwen is that there are champions that can shut it down, right? Something you saw a lot in the LPL is they would pick Renekton into it and they would just dive this thing on repeat, especially as you don't have that flash typically as a safety net. So I think Gwen is broken, don't get me wrong, but I think Singularity just didn't have the tools to deal with it. There is hopefully the expectation that they will now draft themselves tools that can deal with this Gwen. If they don't, the game might just be doomed. So I guess we see.
I mean, the Lee Sin's definitely an option if they want to be diving off repeat, and they've gone for that virus as well, one of the stronger picks. We'll have to see if Kalista is the option because it's available, and this has kind of been the response from Nordavind every time.
That's very true. And Dragdar, okay, you know what? Screw Dragdar. Oh, whoa! All right, brilliant. So we got 3 cooks for this kitchen. I'm not sure if that's going to be too many. I mean, there's a lot of champions that kind of want to take over the game and get attention as well. And don't forget, this is all blind pick right now. Every single one of these picks is blind. That is a lot of balls coming through from Nordavind.
I feel like if you're ever going to win a skirmish, I actually think you take Braum now. And you got on hit Varus. I think Poke Varus is like really useless here. But instead, they're going to go for the Fiora. They want something that can match the Camille on the top lane. The thing with Gwen in the jungle, which it's going to be based on this, is Gwen in the jungle isn't as proactive in the early game compared to, just in general, she's not that proactive compared to Lee Sin, which means that Singularity do have an angle which they can approach. But, Gwen, pretty broken. Aurelia, mega broken. Camille, broken if she gets ahead. Definitely problematic on that top side, and getting answers to shut that down is important. They are going to bat away the Kalista, so they are trying to maybe set up an avenue to play through bot. I think Nordavind banning Braum would be a really good shout here, but we'll see what they go for.
Okay, so where they want to take away, if they want to go for sports or if they want to take away something from one of these solo laners, because of course Lee Sin could go into the mid lane if they wanted to go in that direction, but of course it's probably more likely to go into the jungle from what we've seen today. There's the Braum ban that we mentioned, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Singularity to skirmish into these 3 blade ladies, but we'll have to see where these last 2 bans want to fall.
I love that. I love how you describe the bans as, here's the Braum we talked about. I've said nothing about Braum. You've said nothing about Braum. It's just Orcs' massive galaxy brain.
We're a team here on the deck.
Yeah, we are. And
so
we did.
If Orcs makes good points, we make one.
I know for a fact if I hadn't said it, Foxtrot would have said it. And if Foxtrot hadn't said it, no one
and
said it.
I also just wanted to set Orcs up.
Okay. Cassiopeia just started taking off the table.
Yeah, we're gonna see what Singularity decides to go for here. The support pool, I think, is what's gonna be more interesting for me coming out of this pick right here. I don't know whether you save it for last. Personally, I think you can actually just slap it down now, but we'll see what Singularity decide to do. It did play that Galio last game. It is being hovered, and it is gonna get locked in. And Orcs, you're not too happy about that one.
I'm not a fan because it's like, okay, let's say you taunt any of these 3 champions. What are they going to do? Like, by default, what do they have to do? Auto attack you. Galio is now dead. End of discussion.
You can't jump, right? Like, if Camille jumps in on you, Aurelia jumps in on you, whatever, bam, you slap down the Galio ulti and you cause a bit of disruption.
Sure, I just think realistically, I think Cassio would have been amazing here if it hadn't been banned away. Just these anti-melee picks, really powerful. But I just feel like in this situation, I really struggle to see how they deal with those 3. in team fights. If any one of them gets ahead, if all three of them ahead, the game's just over, you go next. But if any one of them's ahead, it's going to make it hard. And there are anti-melee champions that you can pick. I don't think Galio is the best of them. Like, sure, he can obviously AoE taunt them and peel them off. But I also feel like, you know, it's the fact that these bruisers, these auto attackers can kind of just withstand it and will likely have built tenacity to deal with it.
Ooh. All right. Let's see, Akali. Yeah, that's trying to take it to the solo laners. Honestly, like just matching fire with fire in that situation. Not trying to shut them down necessarily with anti-melee as Orcs was describing, but just really going hard and trying to beat them out individually in the scrappy 1v1s.
I will say, Akali, one of the big reasons she's so broken is you can't auto attack her. It's just impossible because she's so mobile, or she's in a shroud. So all these champions are very auto attack based. That's why like Akali is so good into them, because you know, you just sit in the shroud and they can't do anything. And then when you pop out, you burst them, you jump back in, you burst them, you jump back in. So obviously weaker on this patch. We have seen Fury pop off in it before, but I don't know. This one seems like a bit of a wild one to me. I feel like Nordavind, if any one of those top side three get fed, it could be pretty doomed. But, you know, Singularity definitely have windows they can look to punish. I think early pressure is the key. I'm looking at that Varus into Kai'Sa matchup. It's good for the Varus. I'm looking at the Lee Sin with the earlier pressure. And Fiora does outscale Camille. So there's avenues, by all means, but it's definitely a little bit tenuous.
You can't say that these series haven't had interesting drafts and interesting combinations of champions, and we're going to be jumping to another interesting combination. It's Hipra and Jamada. Take it away.
Interesting in what way? That's the real question. I am very excited for this game, actually. I think Nordavind have an incredibly fun comp put together there with the with the Gwen, the Aurelia. Obviously, Aurelia's had a bit of a soft rework as of recently, so it's kind of jumped back into the meta off the back of that. And you obviously got Kerberos on again, a Kerberos-style champion, a split pusher. But the difference between the Camille and the Nasus from game one is Camille can still team fight fairly effectively. Fiora, not quite as good in the team fights as something like a Camille.
I will say, however, there's a lot of relatively telegraphed CC. I think the short range of Nordavind's comp might actually allow Wazor to team fight.
Okay.
With all of the melee. So I actually don't think it's necessarily going to be as bad as you would typically expect a Fiora to have in terms of a time in team fights. Well, let's see. I agree with the desk. I think for SNG, it's going to be about the bot lane for the early stages. I think that's your biggest point of pressure to try and leverage here for me. Try and utilize it. Whatever you can do. I think the mid lane matchup, of old, this used to be a relatively Akali favored matchup. In fact, I wouldn't even say relatively favored. I would say Akali just outright kind of won this matchup. Room for the Irelia to maneuver, don't get me wrong, because that's basically every Irelia lane. But it did feel very, very difficult.
If I remember, Aurelia had an okay start to this lane, but then
like
just
level 1, 2,
level
1, 2, 3 as well can be okay, but like 4 onwards kind of feels bad. Granted, now the W does now give magic damage reduction.
That could flip it a little bit.
That could flip it. Things like the passive stacking up quicker. The passive stacking up quicker. Only 4 stacks, not 5. Still a couple of things to think about in this matchup. But either way, I hope your voice is ready, because this is going to be one of those mechanics checks games. It can't be any other
mechanics check game, mate.
It can't be any other of these champions in the game. And with that, a lot of volatility, specifically on the top side. You know, if Fiora gets ahead in this matchup, it starts to get very, very difficult for Camille to really do much. And I feel like it swings both ways. Yeah. Though, of course, you know, dealing with the hook shot, very easy when you've got the riposte, and mid lane, same thing, right? And Irelia snowballing is always, always, always a very scary thought.
Alrighty, well, red buff starts for both of the junglers here. We'll be clearing exactly the same way as well, so probably not going to see those two find each other. And for Sharp, I think he's quite happy with that one. Doesn't really want to be early skirmishing versus a Lee Sin. That is what that champion does oh so well. And we talked about a bit of a classic mid lane matchup. We actually have a very classic bot lane duo here in the Nautilus and the Kai'Sa. Whenever Kai'Sa has been meta, Nautilus has always kind of had a place, just because he's really good at helping her stack that CC and getting those void passives stacked up and ready to work with. And looks like with the pressure they've been able to build themselves, thanks to the back of that Akafi and Rain, they have got the priority here, but both teams hit level 2 at the same time. They've both got the minions kind of somewhat pushed up and touch. Looking for that hook onto Prospect, instantly into the exhaust, and that's going to be the flash exhaust burn and the heal from Singularity's bot lane for just Touch Ignite.
Yep. So Nordavind went out on that exchange, and you can see Touch really aggressive positioning here. He knows he can really, really take advantage of the very early laning of the Galio and some of the trading power that can be available. And I mean, there's a reason why we saw Kai'Sa and Nautilus be the most picked duo at MSI. Albeit it's been a couple of patches, but still.
It's been a while.
The champions haven't really changed that much, right? You know, Kai'Sa got a little bit of a love nerf, and that was kind of about it.
Love nerf.
Yeah, I was going to say love tap nerf, but like love tap plus nerf
Yeah.
just doesn't really make sense, right? So I just kind of meshed
I
it
like
together.
a love nerf.
Yeah,
I like
you know,
nerf.
it's like it's not a guying, right? It's not a all right. You're not meta anymore, but it's like halfway there.
A little bonk.
Yeah, a little bonk. Yeah, that's the yeah. There you go, a little bonk.
You know, you talked about MSI, but I hate to break it to you. That's the mid-seasonal invitational. We're at the end of summer split. We're actually approaching the end of the competitive year, which is a really sad fall. Obviously, after this, we've got the European Masters, and then for, you know, the kind of tier 1 and the main list A leagues, you obviously have Worlds coming up. But for the ERLs, it starts to come to an end soon, which is really sad.
Yeah, you think about it, split's gone by fast, despite summer
Really
being
fast.
such a long season, specifically in comparison to spring.
It was when the producer. Oh. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it was when our producer sent me a message with the. Okay, they're fine. With like the talent rotation for playoffs, and I went, wait, what? There's only like
There's like
only,
5
like,
days,
6
6
weeks. There's like
days,
6
yeah.
days left at the time, and I was like, what? We're almost done. In my head, it
Sneaks
ends
up
in
on you.
August. We do have relegations at the end of August for both UKLC
Yeah.
and NLC, so that might be why my head was in that place. But it's kind of sad that, you know, this thing that has just been. We've basically lived and breathed NLC for the last however many weeks, and it's now into the playoffs. And we've honestly started with an amazing playoffs. And Nordavind versus Singularity has delivered. It really has. And I'm hoping our next game, Riddle versus XL, which is actually the best of 3 we've got after this, are also going to deliver.
Definitely should. I'm expecting it to, and I think it's going to be sad to see one of these two teams leave. I think both teams very high skill ceilings and potential. Of course, I believe it was Nordavind did trump SNG the last time out in spring. Went pretty deep into the tournament. I believe they dropped out. Was it to Fnatic? I want to say, my brain is telling me.
Oh,
Someone-
I can't remember. That's
Someone
really bad.
may. I shouldn't be asking you. Someone else.
No,
If their
I
memory will
should
probably
know
tell
that.
me.
I should know
Okay.
the history of our tournament, but, you know...
Now, granted, I don't think I did much playoff work last split, so you know.
Yeah, you have an
looking at-
excuse. I don't.
Yeah,
I was
looking at
there
you,
for
really.
it.
But yeah, it will be sad to see one of these two teams drop out, but I think either way, very strong candidates moving forward in the lower bracket. Like you say, it's going to be XL or Riddle that they face. Two very strong opponents, regardless of who comes out of the other end of that matchup. I think a lot of favor on Riddle. You have to ask me.
Let's move our head towards this game, because we're 5 minutes in. This is the deciding game. The loser of this game is out of the tournament. They've had a playoffs run, and it ended in their first best of. We can take a look at where we are in the lane states right now. The CS lead of 10, building up for Kerberos versus Wazor. Jungle lead is there for Sharp somewhat over Snolty. There's nothing massive, as Wazor did look for the solo kill. Ignite burnt there. Kerb no teleport, but he has now got Sharp coming in.
No riposte.
He may just look to try and get the Ignite down himself onto Wazor, and Wazor going to take the tower shot and give Kerberos first blood.
Yeah.
That was very anticlimactic, if I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Denying the assist gold, and Singularity will use this opportunity to pick up the Infernal Drake in response.
Yeah, I mean, well played by Wazor to not give over more gold than he was already about to. Kerberos just surviving with a little bit too much HP. Wazor overestimating his damage, his mobility maybe. Thought about trying to get in the way of the hookshot with the riposte, my best guess. Didn't quite have the range. Kerb just kind of stands there and watches his lane opponent die.
Just ignites him and walks away.
Yeah. But Dragon picked up by SNG on the bottom side because Sharp committed to the top side. So that will at least be traded out in that regard. So SNG with the early Dragon this time around. See what they can get going with a potential early Dragon Snowball if they want to play towards the avenue. But again, I'm still looking towards, obviously we had a pretty long look at the top side. Mid lane is where I really want to look at things.
Yeah.
Just because it's such an explosive matchup. Of course, the bottom side as well. A lot of volatility down here. Dragdar and Prosphere haven't really been able to pull out much of a lead. Of course, had the early exchange not go in their favor.
Yes.
Good work of touch on the Dredge line and engages.
I think Touch has
been a
had a
quiet
really
lane.
good series, to be honest. Across,
Yeah.
even in their loss,
Yeah.
I think he looked pretty good. He's had a pretty good one as he finds himself a beautiful hook onto Dragdar just as we praise him. He makes it work. The heal comes out from Chrisberg. No ultimate from Dragdar to lock touchdown anymore. And at the end of the day, Singularity do come out ahead from that one. Now, towards the mid lane, Fury has picked up a Oblivion Orb. Has to be a little careful to that stun available to Ericsson. The flawless duet, but looks like Sharp's going for a cheeky invade into Nulty, or at least looking to spot him out. Has got that blast cone. They know he's there. And this could be a very optimistic dive, but I think they're going to call it off.
Yeah, I think Sharp thinking about looking for a dive on the top side with the wave stacking. I don't think Naughty actually spotted out Sharp, so this is full information for Nordavind. Naughty's basically walking not in his territory.
Flawless duet's going to land. They get the slow, they get the snare, the needle works on. Can Ericsson get in range? The flash, the kick comes out. Ericsson with a beautiful sidestep. And Naughty will go down. Curb secures his second kill of the game.
Yeah. Naughty didn't quite get to flash away from that Fury now.
They get locked down. They have got that Vanguard's Edge available to Ericsson, but he's not going to fire it off. Wants to catch this wave. Prosphere's roamed over with no jungler about. I think this might be a little bit of a hard one to go for, but Curve has to be careful with waves all around. And now Singularity starting to collapse as the Grand Challenge has been thrown down, but the riposte in the wrong direction. It's Sharp will secure himself a kill. Kerberos will go down. Shutdown picked up by Fury. He perfect executions away. And Ericsson is just way too slow to the mark here. Was trying to catch that wave, and Singularity just get a free 2 kills.
Yeah, free 2 kills. They do lose their top lane away, Zor. I feel like if that riposte was pointed in a different direction, maybe delays his death. And that could actually keep him alive in the exchange, to be honest with you. But either way, Nordavind, despite finding the initial pick on Tanoi, they start the Herald. That's just good play from SNG, a good punish, and collapse at the end of the day. The response not quite good enough from Nordavind, and now SNG are going to be the ones that pick up the Herald.
Crossfair's going for the reset, and it looks like they're going to be way too late to the punch on this one. Curb's making his way over. No Hextech ultimatum available to him, and Nulty might have to be a little bit careful because here comes the hook shot.
Oh my god, he can't get the eye!
Sharp's trying to come in. They're going to look for it. Oh, mine was early. Sharp slides in and secures
it wasn't early,
Herald.
Jake. It wasn't early. He smited Kerberos.
Oh no,
bigger
even
thin.
worse.
Couldn't find the eye.
Bubble.
And I'm pretty sure he smited Curb. I don't think he smited the Herald. I can hear them all chatting.
We need a replay. We need a replay. We need it in slow-mo. That's what we need.
Okay. Oh, play.
Oh, hold that for the moment.
Oh, no.
We're going into the replay. Oh, we paid the replay guy. That's on us. I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Don't worry.
Okay.
No one died.
Yeah, no one died.
You may now play the replay.
Chrisberg didn't even blow his flash for that. Real brave, honestly. All right, now we'll get the replay. And yeah, he just can't hit the eye. It's just one of those things as a jungler. Sometimes you just, look, he's behind it, blatantly behind it, but he's, did he? No, I'm pretty sure he smites Curb. I'm pretty sure.
Curb. Yeah,
100%.
There's no way he
100%.
didn't smite Curb because it had 120 health.
Oh, man.
Curb's model was like underneath the Rift Herald as well. That is so unfortunate.
All right, well, I think what we have to do is check the PayPal account of Shelly, because Shelly, for one, didn't want to let the eye get popped, and then two, somehow had a smaller hitbox than a Camille. All right, well, with that in mind, a little bit of seriousness back into the tone here. Nordavind, now with the Herald, also have IM advantages across the board, particularly in mid-jungle. Is where I'm looking at. So what are they going to do with these big iron spikes? Naughty
finds himself kicked out. They're bringing in the Galio, the insect from the flash and Chrisberg into the heel. Sharp's over the wall as well, and they will spot out the fact this dragon's going down. This time we'll see whether or not Nulty can land a smite, or whether or not he's going to be smiting himself. And Gwen, they find a hook onto Fury. He goes in for the Shuriken flip, and he is being CC'd down. Ericsson finds the easiest kill. And the Ocean Drake not been dissuaded yet. Nulty has that execution,
no smite,
but Touch is going to do the zoning duty, and the dragon is picked up. They've got Shelboros, but they also have Kerberos pulling Nulty in with the Hextech ultimatum. He's able to get away with his life, but the needle ripping through the health bar. Nordavind's health bars are incredibly low. Chrisberg trying to find the mop-up. In comes the stun. In comes Ericsson. Securing himself one. Securing himself two. It's just a whitewash for the side of Nordavind.
Honestly, SNG almost turned that around. Okay. All right. Nice dodge. Nice dodge, Prospect. You're wondering what he did? Dashing back on the Justice Punch. But yeah, honestly, the healing as well from the Grand Challenge almost kept SNG alive in that exchange. But once Ericsson shows up, that's a done deal. You can see a lot of the return damage coming through. I'm not even sure entirely what it was. The flank from Kerberos is great. Teleported down really early. Locks up Noi. What is returning all of this damage? The Taunt, I guess, a really nice, arrow from Dragdar. You can see the healing is great, but then Ericsson shows up. And once Ericsson's here, he finds the execute onto one, finds stun onto two, and then just dashing through the minions, keeping the passive stacks alive, making himself a hard target to even be hit on. Eventually picks up 2 more for himself.
Blade of the Ruined King.
Yeah, I really fed. Had the Blade of the Ruined King on that play. Hence why she was so strong, and hence why I was so kind of worried about SNG wanting to contest that. Because Sharp and Ericsson were so strong, I wanted to see Nordavind force the issue. They do just that. Now you can see Ericsson feeling so confident. Nordavind even going to get this charge off just before the plates fall off the tower. It goes onto Ericsson and Sharp, the already strong members of Nordavind.
It's a scary situation now for your Singularity. You've got a very fed Aurelia. You've got a pretty fed Kerberos, who is currently playing weak side for the team as the plates go down. So this tower will crumble as those resistances dissipate. But they are just looking for a dive onto Wazor. And Wazor, no Titanic or anything like that. He's going to struggle to clear out the wave, but forces the teleport out. And I think Nordavind can actually be kind of okay with that, to be honest. Sure, they didn't get the tower. Sure, they didn't get the dive, but teleport now burned. And with Kerberos' teleport already being on cooldown, same with Ericsson, there is no teleport advantage to worry about anymore, and Kerberos should be able to hold this wave.
Yeah, no TP advantage means that it's purely just going to be working on understanding where people are on the map. So, honestly, like you say, big win for Nordavind. Happy. They go for the dive, teleport comes in really early, just call it off. No harm, no foul. Now, Nordavind, they can look for a redive. They do know Noi's there, so it's about how they want to layer in the CC and damage. Ericsson, however, first to move, and Fury in base. Looks like they're not quite feeling confident enough about the play, and also don't know where Prospera is with that heroic entrance. So good amount of discipline there to not pull the trigger and flip what, initially could look like a good play and turn out into a bad one.
Looks like I missed a spot.
Well, 15 minutes in, we can take stock of items, really, at this point. We got Divine Sunderers coming in across the board on the top side of the map, expected from these champions. You got the Nashers, you got the Gore Drinker, 2 items on each of the mid laners, but crucially, Fury does have that Oblivion Orb, has had it as his first item, actually, to be able to handle the sustain from Ericsson. And some AD carries. Chrisberg, it's not really been the Chrisberg show so far, so little bit behind his counterpart, because Dragdar actually going for the on-hit Varus. We didn't really hit on that, but he's got the lethal tempo.
Yes.
Got himself the shield bow. This is obviously a fairly short range comp, so shield bow will give him a bit of survivability. Now Ericsson has to be a little careful. Isn't going to get himself connected on by that kick, so he'll be able to walk away to safety.
Yeah, I believe Orcs called out that the on-hit Varus would probably be the best call here, and I totally agree. I think there's 2 ways you can look at it, right? You go the lethal, you go the on-hit build. You're going to have Nordavind diving onto you anyway, with all the sort of hard engage and commit that they can put forward. Or you go for the lethality build and you try your best to play range. However, the issue is if Nordavind decide to pull the trigger and move forward, then lethality is not really going to do you much justice.
Yeah, and I don't really think you have any Serpent Fangs users as well on the side of Nordavind, so you don't really have to worry about your shield getting popped that badly on that one. The Dragon's spawning up in 20 seconds time. It is a Cloud Soul this game. That soul you talked about, we haven't actually seen so far until now.
Yeah, I mean,
bit of variety today.
Yeah, variety today. I like it. I'm happy with that. Herald will be popped on the top side, so because Nordavind had all the control on the bottom side, seems SNG willing to kind of just white flag it. Not really willing to contest that one. Handshake, more like. Take the top tower. They're going to get the charge up here as well, but you can see a couple of members moving over. Chrisberg and Sharp, the only ones not here on this top side play. Wazor's going to have to defend some towers, and they get that charge on that top tier 2, so that's something they can potentially revisit later on, but it is on the side of the map where Baron is, and Nordavind likely, now that there's no dragon on the map, to put their numbers around that area. So it's going to be a very difficult tower to unlock, but still 600 gold if they can find it will feel very nice. Good guy Ericsson.
That was
Good guy Ericsson.
wholesome to see.
Yeah. But expect not too much to be fought over, unless we see teams defending towers and priorities just end up, lane priorities rather end up seeing members roam up towards the side lanes. It's usually how it's been so far in this game, a little more tempered. 12 kills in 18 minutes certainly isn't a slow-paced game, but feels like the action has certainly been very catered around the neutral objectives and the towers themselves. No random fighting like what I feel like we saw in the first couple of games. A lot more controlled. I mean, again, backs against the walls. Both these teams is the lower bracket, don't forget. Crazy to think about SNG and Nordavind. One of them will have to go home, so that's why you see a slightly slower approach from both teams, especially in the case of SNG in this one. Definitely feeling the pressure being behind. Even though it's only 1,000 gold, I'm sure in-game it feels a lot more. Just because of the pressure of they're already being fed, Sharp as well. Even Curb on the board, and their own carries not necessarily accelerated in the item department. As gold is on our screen, 1,500 gold difference between Ericsson and Fury. Ericsson's just been able to find the mark in those team fights. That slightly high level of impact as play in the mid lane now.
Dragdar, I think you might be in for a whole world of hurt. Curb knocked up, chained up, CC down. The needlework's going to pop the shield bows. Wazel trying to chase him for a little bit more. They find a great hook from Touch, but now he may just lose his life. Fury jumps in, trying to get that quick turnaround, and Singularity somehow get out of that one alive.
Yeah, some of the pros here, again, remember, there is a lot of single target, as well as AoE damage, or lockdown rather. No depth charge into that Hextech Ultimatum. If you want to kill one member of SNG, you can. Well, you saw the Galio Ultimate came down, and it's just immediate turnaround from SNG to try and keep Dragdar alive, and they do that. Nordavind have it on the back end of the play. Recognize that they have a small window here to take down that mid-tier one, and they will get it. So it's 2 towers apiece now in the game itself.
Got a large wave building up in the top side as well. You can see that Ericsson's moving over to go handle that one and try and shove the wave in, but with the fact it's now crashed, Wazel will be able to collect the wave, and nothing really is going to go down on that tower, more towards the top side. Remember, Singularity do have that kind of cash investment on that tier 2 top side because they got the charge off, and it's worth a lot of gold if they can send someone over to go pick that up, if they can get the wave state in that favor. But for now, we're seeing Chrisberg just been to base, finished up the Phantom Dancer, so second item for him. Ericsson now has the Divine Thunderer finished up. So we are starting to see the kind of beginnings of these second items, and the Shield Bow honestly doing wonders for Dragdar there. He survived a depth charge and a Camille jumping onto him without actually burning Flash. He just burnt his heal.
Yeah. Being able to survive that is pretty impressive if you ask me, but again, credit to the rest of SMG for peeling the early carry in that kind of situation. And it means he will have Flash available for this potential next Dragon fight if SNG want to take it. And with being a Cloud sort, you know, you always kind of have to game by game evaluate the effectiveness of Cloud, right? I think especially in a meta where almost typically so key, you know, there's a lot of hidden, unseen value in it. The dragons themselves and the soul, obviously a little more dependent on the champions in the game. And I feel like SNG probably won't feel too bad about this one.
The gold graph, as you can see, are very up and down, but for the most part, leaning in favor of Nordavind, who currently have got themselves a 2,000 gold lead over their counterparts in this particular game. Well, not even 2,000. It's actually under that right now, but still are the ones who are currently up in the old gold department. And with 2 items on Chrisberg, they might be feeling a little bit feisty for a fight. Especially when Sharp also has now finished up that Riftmaker, so got the additional sustain and a lot of attack speed thanks to that Nash's Tooth. Nolty finds a kick onto Touch, so probably not the person you want to be kicking into your team. And Singularity just going to take this opportunity to catch this wave, and remember, they're the ones about the tower, as Touch does find himself a cheeky hook onto Prosper. does throw out the depth charge. They get the flawless duo F for the moment. The teleport comes in. Fury looking for Touch. Touch is going to be able to survive for now. Just about able to. Ericsson goes gold in the middle of everything. And Chrisberg has to flash away. But Fury finds the shutdown. Ericsson almost taken down. And the burn will secure it. Nordavind are crumbling at the seams as Singularity find their pick, find their team fight. And they're going to get their second dragon of this game.
Are they going to push on to Baron, though? That's my big question here. Are they feeling confident enough, knowing that they forced out Sharp's flash? He's a little bit chunked up, and they're only dealing with 3 members. Ericsson doesn't have teleport either. If there was ever a window to do it, it's right now. They might not have any ultimates, but the numbers advantage should just about be enough. They are going to start up, and I really don't feel like Nordavind are going to be able to contest this. It seems like they don't necessarily feel like contesting it either. So Sharp making a late kind of U-turn over.
Has got
Touch
the
as well.
smite, doesn't have that flash. They know it's going on now. They now have that information as Kerberos is looking for the opportunity to get in. They're coming in for the taunt. They're looking for it. They get 2 members. Prosper finds himself. The headbutt. Sharp is going oh so low. Almost kills Prosper, but the stopwatch is going to come in time. Curb, can he find the hook shot? No, he can't. Dragdar will take him down. And Singularity find another 2 on the back of this. Ericsson not really going to be able to find himself an assassination off. And Nordavind, it looks so good in game number 2, but Singularity are answering in this 3rd game.
Yeah, for so long in this game, it's felt like Nordavind have had the control because they have, quite frankly. But SNG, they find the team fight that they need in front of this dragon. Replaying it, kind of just kicks off both the supports walking into each other. And Ericsson isn't really able to have that much impact, you can see. Not really able to go in, finds a double stun, the depth charge on the top side as well, but Touch is just getting absolutely deleted on the front line, and he's not able to do anything, and crucially, that Shuriken flip lands onto Crisper. Crisper can't dive forward, and the kick onto Ericsson as well stops that dive from happening, and the Ignite, final tick of that from Wazor means that he finds the pickup onto Ericsson. It's just a really well played out team fight. SNG just stand their ground, I think, crucially, and they're able to stand their ground because of the way that Nordavind approached that team fight. And then on the back end, Prospect just finds a really nice taunt to interrupt
They are
Kerberos.
looking for Wazor on the top side. He's got himself the ulti, puts out the grand challenge. I'm casting before we are out of the replay, but there it is. They're jumping in, throwing everything down onto Wazor.
Oh my
it's a
God.
massive heal off from that sweet spot, and Ericsson looking for the flawless duet, can't quite get it. Curb hook shots over the wall, and meanwhile the second tower goes down. Wazor just healing up way too much. He's got that hole breaker, he's on his lonesome, so he's getting the full benefit. Finally able to get away. Thank you to Prosper as he's able to get out. Say thank you, thanks to Prosper. Like I'm thanking Prosper there. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Breaker Sunderer. That's a lot of healing.
Yeah, Wazor just able to survive, quite frankly. Crucial CC not able to land in conjunction with one another, and it means they don't get the lockdown onto Wazor. And during that chase, SNG found the mid lane tier 2 and the bottom side tier 2, and on the back end of the chase, they even pick up the top side tier 3. Tier 2, rather. So, all 3 towers, all 3 inners going down. SNG, so much gold injected into them off the back of this Baron. Whoa.
Ignite exchanged. Kerberos loses half his life. And that means Crisper's going to have to come over, but you send your whole team up to the top lane to deal with the Fiora. Singularity just quite happily take the mid lane. It is the return to split pushes when it's Wazor versus Kerberos, and both of them have had their moments, but this is Wazor's game here on the Fiora. Second hole breaker of the series. And the tower will fall. It will go down. The Chains of Corruption land, and Touch is absolutely chunked. They're looking for the kill onto Fury, as Fury finds himself the perfect execution to secure the kill. And with the 2 inhibitors, with the Baron in the pocket, I don't know if Nordavind have what it takes to hold here. I think this has gone from them having the gold lead to this game going into some seriously dangerous territory for them.
So quickly as well. 5 minutes ago, we were talking about Nordavind looking like the ones that would likely go on and press on, continue to grow this lead. Not necessarily maybe end the game very quickly, but certainly the ones with the control. And off the back of one team fight, there's always the danger of fighting at that 20-minute mark. Give over about as much as they probably could have outside of losing the game itself. And I mean, credit to SNG, honestly, for being able to keep headstrong in a situation like that where, honestly, the gold lead wasn't too big, but it's definitely going to be one of those games where in-game it feels like a larger league than it actually is.
Yeah.
And despite that, despite those odds, they find that one team fight, and now they're the ones that sit on the cusp of advancing in the lower bracket. I think crucially also getting revenge on Nordavind after the previous split.
"28 minutes on the clock, 18 kills on the board, and 8 towers for Singularity. The gold lead has ballooned, as we were saying. With that Cloud Dragon up, honestly, Singularity, they're not really that fussed. Cloud Soul, it's nice. I mean, Galio has a very long cooldown on his ultimate, so I guess it helps him in that front. But other than that, it's not as game-breaking, or as game-deciding, maybe, as something like that Infernal Dragon, or even the Ocean. And contesting it is ultimately what has cost Nordavind their gold lead in this game.
Not just the gold lead, but just the entire game state.
Yeah.
And potentially, given how the game feels right now, even maybe the game itself. SNG sieging on the bottom side, Fury just shoving in top side wave, potentially waiting for it to, teleports come in. Now they're just going to focus on this final inhibitor, and with all 3 down, SNG, they can kind of just set up camp in the base.
It looks like they're going for
anywhere.
Chris Berg takes a big chunk of damage. Ericsson is on the flank. There's the depth charge. The Chain of Corruption comes out, but everybody gets sprint for the moment. Ericsson finds himself stuck with Wazor gonna lose his life, and Great Gap Vanguard's edge slows everybody down, and in they launch. This is the last chance for Nordavind as they're trying to pile in the damage, but it's just not enough. A double kill was picked up on to Noti. And Singularity have done it. They have aced Nordavind, and they take the series 2-1.
Honestly, SNG, first 2 games, we had very, I'm going to call them relatively one-sided games, particularly the second game from Nordavind. But this one here, a lot more contentious. Nordavind, they come out with this incredibly mechanics check kind of draft, right? You draft Gwen, you draft Irelia and Camille in the first 3. And SNG, they just say, okay, we'll answer it. They lock in the Fiora, and then they go on to lock in the Irelia. And despite falling behind in the early game, once they hit those iron spikes and that third, or I think it was the third dragon or fourth perhaps, came in, and Nordavind went to contest it when realistically it's just a Cloud Dragon, right? You don't necessarily have to, but it's about trying to keep that stacking pressure. Nordavind don't find the fight that they're looking for. In fact, SNG are the ones that find the better formation in that team fight. They stand their ground, and crucially, they keep Dragdar alive, and they deal with the divers one by one. Nordavind weren't quite on the same page, and it's the fight that effectively cost them everything. It cost them the Baron, cost them the 2 inhibitors, and then eventually the entire game.
I mean, that was honestly a very good series, a very back and forth one between both teams. And I think, even though Nordavind were knocked out, I think they can kind of walk out with their heads held high. They didn't throw that game, or they didn't throw this series in a sense where they got completely destroyed by playing badly. I think they played very well. I just think Singularity were played better on the day. And it was a very, very intense series. And we still got one more series to go, but for now we're going to throw to a break, and when we're back, we're going to have the analyst desk to talk a little bit more about that game. So we'll see you in a moment.